Yeah, good evening, everybody. So today I'll also share with you the science behind why our vagus nerve is important and how do we exercise our vagus nerve to improve its function. So the vagus, we have 12 cranial nerves in the body, which actually originate in the brain, and then they go to different parts of the body. And most of the nerves get over in the thorax or in the neck. But the vagus nerve is one nerve which gets into the abdomen. So it starts in the brain, it goes through our body and gets over in our intestines. So it almost gives branches to most of our internal organs. And we were thinking it is a sensory nerve with some motor functions uh, previously. But now, in the last, in 1990s, Dr. Stephen Porges, he came out with an hypothesis that it may be a single nerve, but there are the different branches have different functions. And to understand that, he has called it the dorsal branch and the ventral branch complex. So the dorsal vagal complex is what we have developed during our evolutionary process. It is an old nerve which is responsible for our freeze and shutdown response. So it is responsible for our fight or flight response when we come under a stressful situation, like in the forest when we come across a tiger or a lion, and we need to activate our fight or flight response. And this dorsal vagal complex actually shuts off our organs so that we freeze, and the opponent or the animal thinks we are dead. In extreme life-threatening situations, when we are under a major shock, so it leads to immobilization and dissociation so that we conserve our energy. But it also has a lot of functions as a nerve. So when we keep coming across such situations which our sympathetic nervous system is continuously triggered, this organs which are affected by the vagus nerves, they also start getting affected. And the ventral vagal complex is a more evolved vagal branch, which is associated with the social engagement systems, including our facial expressions and our voice, our vocalization. And it is also a branch which promotes a feeling of safety, relaxation, and social bonding. So, to tell you in general, the vagus nerve, right from the path where from the brain until it goes up to the rectum, it gives a lot of branches. So, wherever it's giving out branches, we can actually exercise those muscles to stimulate that nerve. So, vagus nerve, predominantly, we need to remember it's the main nerve for our digestive system. It's the main nerve for our digestion process. And because it's a parasympathetic nerve, it functions better when we are in a rested and relaxed state. So it keeps the larynx open. It gives branches in the lungs and the diaphragm. Diaphragm is a muscle between the thorax and the abdomen. So that is the main muscle which is responsible when you breathe in and your abdomen is going out and it's expanding. That's because the diaphragm is going down. So that is why Dr. Ria, when she suggested you put your hand on the abdomen, it's only when we feel the extension of our abdomen happening that we are exercising the diaphragm to function better. And it also gives branches to the heart. It stimulates secretion of saliva, bile. It's responsible for the peristalsis. It contracts the bladder, urinary bladder, and it also is responsible for the feel-good hormone, oxytocin. And because there is the gut-brain connection, the vagus nerve can also be responsible for anxiety and depression. So I will tell you the exercises which are helping the vagus nerve get activated. So vagus nerve can become overactive or underactive. So most people have an underactive vagus nerve because it is a parasympathetic nervous system, and when we are always in the fight or flight mode, this vagal tone is suppressed. So when we are always coming under stress, when we are experiencing stress, this parasympathetic nervous system can get suppressed. And one of the main issues when person is having an underactive vagus nerve is constipation. But again, if you can't say when you have diarrhea, it can be overactive of vagus nerve, because vagus, it's the whole organ is supplied by the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is sympathetic, parasympathetic, and both of them interact to each other. Uh, so many people who have constipation, doing these vagal nerve exercises can get very good relief. So there are very simple exercises to stimulate your vagus nerve. So deep breathing will actually is stimulating the vagus nerve in the lungs, and when you focus on expanding your abdomen while deep breathing, then your diaphragm is getting expanded. It's stretching even more, and that is why the diaphragm is one of the main organs which is supplied by vagus nerve, and that stimulates the vagus nerve. So if we come from the top, the posterior pharynx muscles are supplied by the vagus. So gargling vigorously with water after you brush your teeth every morning can stimulate the vagus nerve and improve the vagal tone. And if you're experiencing sluggish movement of the bowel every morning, stimulating the vagus nerve in the morning can actually improve the bowel movement also to become better. The next thing is it supplies the vocal cords also. So chanting and humming and singing can actually stimulate the vagus nerve. So if you look at all the major religions, all have chanting or prayers or singing loudly as a part of the culture. So that is because it stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system and relaxes you instantly. The next thing is tongue depression, or if you use a tongue cleaner properly and you put some pressure on the posterior aspect of your tongue, is where the vagus nerve is supplying, that can also stimulate the vagus nerve. So to give you a brief about the morning routine, if you start off your day with when you get into the bathroom, you can do oil pulling. So oil pulling also is a form of gargling, where you take about 10 ml of water. It can be plain cold pressed coconut oil or in combination of a little till oil. So oil pulling has a lot of benefits. It improves the oral microbiome. It exercises your muscles in the mouth, and it stimulates the vagus nerve. So you can start with oil pulling and then brush your teeth. After brushing your teeth, you can clean your tongue with a tongue cleaner and put some pressure on the posterior aspect or the back of the tongue, and then do vigorous gargling. So all these three exercises will stimulate your vagus nerve. And then you can do abdominal breathing and breathing exercises for 10-15 minutes, and then have a cold shower. So periodic exposure of cold shower is a very good way to stimulate the vagus nerve. It also gives us a lot of metabolic flexibility. So when we stick to our comfort zone, daily having the same routine in the same environment, and having a systemic life within the comfort zone, actually decreases our metabolic flexibility. The way we have evolved as human beings, we are always meant to have some short courses of stress and then long periods of relaxation. Although now we are experiencing long periods of stress, it's only mental stress and there is no physical stress. So if you have to experience metabolic flexibility, initially when you have chronic diseases, when you are suffering, we need to only focus on calming down and on parasympathetic activities. But once you have calmed down and you're improving, and you want to improve your health further on, you need to focus on doing some metabolic flexibility. That is, giving some short bursts of stress for your physical body. So easy way to do that is to have periodic cold showers. If you're not comfortable every day, at least few days a week, you need to have cold showers, which will also stimulate the vagus nerve. The next thing is just mindfulness and meditation. Since the vagus nerve is the nerve of relaxation, sense of well-being, and rest and digestion, meditation also will stimulate the vagus nerve. Laughter and social connectedness. Like I said in the beginning, the ventral vagus nerve is a fairly newer nerve which we have, which is responsible for the social interactions, the social behavior, and facial expression. So laughing regularly and having social connectedness, meeting people, will actually stimulate the vagus nerve. So to give you a good example of this, there are case studies and reports where people with end-stage cancer also, they have just recovered by watching comedy movies. So that is how powerful laughter is and mental health is. And even when you, if when they've looked at the blue areas of the blue zones of the world where people have lived above 100 years and studied what is the common feature among these groups of people. There's a group of people in Italy, in Japan, one part of Africa, and one part of US, where people in that community or in that village, or most of them live over 100. And it's not about the main factor which they found, which is common among all of them, is not diet, it's not exercise. It is mainly the social connectedness, the social belongingness, and their good mental health and mental quality of life with respect to their emotional health. So that's extremely important to strengthen the vagus nerve. Sunlight exposure is very important. We can correct vitamin D deficiency with supplements, but to maintain good autonomic nervous system, we need to get actual sun exposure at least 30 minutes per day. And like I keep stressing, the gut-brain axis is very important. We always thought in our medical textbooks that most of the nerves which are coming from the brain are carrying impulses to the intestines. But now we've realized that the vagus nerve is actually carrying more impulses from the gut to the brain. And this can be responsible. Many times you get a gut feeling, your intuition, we call it gut feeling. And whenever you are under stress, your digestion gets impaired. And many people complain of IBS symptoms starting only when they are stressful. So all this shows that the connection between our gut and brain is very strong connection. And that is why we call the gut as second brain. And improving the vagus nerve tone, the first and the most important benefit we get is with the gut and improved GI function. So another finding we have found is that the majority of the relaxing neurotransmitters which are responsible for the vagal tone and the vagus nerve is also secreted by the gut bacteria. So it's very important to have healthy gut. It's a to and fro process. You have a healthy vagus nerve, it's easier to have a good gut health. If you have a healthy gut, it's easier to maintain less anxiety, less stress, and to maintain good vagal tone. So this is in brief about the vagal tone. It's not that you always have to have a lot of willpower and mental strength is something which you can develop, and it can be as simple as just doing vagal nerve exercises and strengthening your relaxation techniques. So from today, I request all of you to make sure that you keep at least 15 minutes every day in your daily routine to practice any of these techniques. So the first few techniques I told you, it's very easy. It hardly takes 5-10 minutes. You can just include it in your bathroom routine, which is gargling, oil pulling, and tongue stimulation. And then you can keep about 5 to 10 minutes at least in the morning and 5 to 10 minutes in the evening for breathing exercises and meditation. And if you have time to pray or chant or sing, then that is also an added advantage. So this will complete your vagus nerve. You can notice within 30 days of doing this routine, you can experience improved mental health, improved focus, and reduced anxiety, and decreased temper also.